Hello, my name is Amanda Jones, and in this video I'm going to show you some addition algorithms. Now, we just usually only know our standard addition algorithm, so let me show you that one. We're going to add today, use this for most of our examples, 378 plus 257. Okay, and so we'll start with our standard addition algorithm, which is what most of us know and love, where we carry the 1, okay? So we'll set it up and stack these numbers vertically, okay? And we'll just add. And as we add this and it's 15, we carry the 1. And then we add 7 plus 1 plus 5, so that's 13. And 3 plus 1 plus 2, which is 6. Okay, so this is our standard algorithm. But when our students, because I'm talking to you as teachers, when our students see this for the first time, it can seem really foreign to them. They don't understand why we carry this 1 or why we add the 1 at the top here when we add this. But the fact of the matter is, we know, hopefully you know, that we carry this 1 because we have 15 ones here, which translates to 1 10 and 5 ones. So we have to put our 1 in the tens place, and we have to put our 5 in the ones place. So this, I think a lot of times we do this and we go through the motions and we take it for granted, and then we try to teach our students this algorithm and it doesn't make sense to them and we don't know why. And so learning some different algorithms can kind of put us in the place of our student to feel that of why we do certain things, and to also cause us to think about this one a little bit more and a little bit more deeply. So keeping this in mind, let's move on to another algorithm called partial sums. And this is one of my favorites, and it's really where we're moving towards getting our students to do this one first before our standard. So it's called a partial sum algorithm. Okay, and I'll add the same 2 numbers. I'm still going to stack them. And in this one, you're not going to do any carrying. You're just going to write down what the 2 numbers are added together, but we're going to think of them in their place value. This works really well with manipulatives. When you're doing adding with manipulatives, you're using more of a partial sum method if you're grouping kind of at the end. Okay, so 8 plus 7 is 15, and I'm going to write this right here that we have a 1 in the tens place and a 5 in the ones place, okay? So no carrying that 1, just putting it right there, and then you'll see what we do when we're adding this 7 and 5. We're not adding 7 and 5. We're actually adding 70 and 50. And so that's what we'll add, that's what we'll think of, and that's a little bit easier for our students to understand, especially if they're holding manipulatives and they're seeing that 70 block in the rod, 7 of those rods and 5 of those rods, and adding them together. You know that 70 plus 50 is 120, okay? So I'm going to put that right here, lining it up in the correct place values. And then when I'm adding this 3 and 2, I'm not adding 3 and 2, I'm adding 300 and 200 because they're in the hundreds place value. So 300 plus 200 is 500. All right, and then we add these partial sums at the end. So we've taken little pieces of them and then we add them at the end. So adding up, and we get that 635. Okay, so that's the partial sums method. Really nice to begin with, really good with manipulatives. We're really moving towards this a lot more, and I think that it's great. Our standard algorithm is a little bit more efficient, but I think if you understand this first, then our standard algorithm makes more sense. You can see why that 1 is carried, and you can put it up here instead of down here, and the same with this one. You can put it, up here instead of down here, but this is kind of our foundation. It should be our foundation for our students to begin with this algorithm. Okay, I'm going to show you A few more, mostly just to stretch you a little bit and to look at some different algorithms. The next one is called a lattice for addition algorithms. There is a lattice for multiplication, so don't let that get too confusing, but this is the lattice for addition. Okay, so we set this up once again with them stacked, a little space between numbers. I'll show you why. Putting these in their corresponding place values. And then they set this up with kind of a grid down here at the bottom. So some vertical lines to separate place values, and then these diagonal lines to kind of break up the place value in each spot, okay? So then we add, so 8 plus 7, once again 15, and what we do with that 15 is we put the first number up here, so if it's in a different place value than what we started, so if it's a 2-digit place value, we put it up here, and then the 5 right here. And what that's doing is we are going to add these in a second at the end, and what that's doing is it's putting that 1 right here, which is going to be in our tens place, because it is a 10. It's a 10 and a 5, this 8 plus 7, and so we're hitting that 1 in the tens place. We just maybe not see that that's what's going to happen until the end. Okay, this one can be a little dangerous because it's easy to just do and not really think about, but we're going to think through it. 7 plus 5 is 12, so I'll put the 1 up here, and you are putting that 1 in that 100 spot. Because 70 plus 50, you're going to have a 100 right here, and then the 2 right here in the 10 spot. Okay, and then 3 plus 2 is 5, so I like to put a 0 in that spot just so that it's there as a placeholder, and then the 5 here. And then we're going to add on the diagonal. I like to kind of extend these diagonal lines to show that, and so we're going to add this way. 2 plus 1 is 3. Like I said, this 1 came from adding the 8 and the 7 and getting the 15, which was 110. And then, of course, the 7 and the 5, this was 70 and 50, 120. So the 2 in the 10 spot. So you can see we grouped our 10s in kind of that diagonal way. All right. And then the hundreds right here, when we added the 70 and 50, we got a 100. And so it's in the 100 spot. And then, of course, the 300 plus 200, that's in the 100 spot too. And there we have the 635, okay? So I think this is really good for you, stretch you. It is one, if you're going to show it to your student, it comes much later after they've really mastered addition and really talk through what it's doing, okay? And then another one with these numbers that I'm going to show you is the column addition. So column addition, once again, set them up, stack them, put a little bit of space in between numbers, and I'll show you why. This is similar to partial sums, but it's just going to format it in a little bit of a different way. I find that college students can be very resistant to this method. It seems a little contrary to what you've been taught, but I think the elementary students might like it. So you do with it what you will and think of it as you will. Let me show it to you really quick. So 8 plus 7 is 15. We're going to put the 15 right here. It's okay. We're separating this and we're going to be able to keep track of it. We know that here we're going to have 15 ones. So it's kind of grouping in the kind of that partial sum way before we do the regrouping at the end and take care of the, moving the ones over to the next place value. 7 plus 5 is 12. Okay, and 3 plus 2 is 5. So we know this is wrong, and you'll see many of your students do this when they're first learning addition, but with this separating, and we're not going to leave it here, at this point we're going to do some regrouping. So we know we can't leave a 12 in the tens place because we're not going to write our numbers with lines through them all the time, and this doesn't make sense numerically. So we need to do something with it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this 1 and I'm going to move it over to the 100 spot, okay? Because I know that this is actually, this 12 is 120, so there's a 100 in there. It needs to be moved over. And so I'll move the 100 over here, and then I'll have 6 hundreds, and I'll be left with 2 in my 10 spot. Okay, I'm going to leave the 15 alone for the moment and take care of it in a separate step. But once again, we can't just leave a 15 right here hanging around. So I'm going to move this one over to the 10 spot. We know that it is a 10. It's a 10 and 5 ones. So I'll move that over. And then we have 6, 30, 5. So adding that one over here, and then we're left with the 5 ones. So here's that 635 answer again, and this is the column method. So once again, I think that college students can be very resistant to this and really not like this, but I think that your elementary students are going to like it. Maybe not introduce it right away. Maybe it'd be something that could possibly help a student that's struggling, that doesn't understand carrying a 1. When you're moving to that algorithm, I really like partial sums the most, when really master that. But if they're not understanding the carrying the 1, maybe they can do the carrying kind of at the end, a little bit more like the partial sums method, kind of an in-between between our partial sums method and then our standard algorithm. All right. Thank you for watching. Bye.